Hello, and we need to talk about why Bitcoin went up today. Some of you said, hey, is it the Solana ETF news? No, although the Solana staking ETF is awesome, that's not why we went up today. It's because Powell has signaled that he might rate cut for July. Now, it's only going to be 25 basis points if he does rate cut, and there's still a pretty big if. But I think there's a good chance that we will get a cut. If and only if certain things pan out. One is the June CPI, which is in 2 weeks, comes out and it hasn't gone up. If the June CPI goes up from the May CPI, which it may, I think if it stays below 2.5, we're pretty good, then he's not going to cut because one of the dual mandate is inflation. And inflation has to stay down. And he needs to see that the effects from the tariffs aren't going to come back to haunt us because he does not want to cut right now and then raise interest rates back up because inflation has started because of the tariffs. The other thing is that of the dual mandate is unemployment. Unemployment has actually remained really, really low. And that means the economy is generally popping along just perfectly fine. But that might actually change soon. If an unemployment ticks up in tomorrow's unemployment report, then there's a good chance we're getting a cut if inflation stays low. And one of the reasons that unemployment might go up is because of the Doge firings. I actually think that was part of the reason that Trump wanted Doge to fire a lot of government workers. Not necessarily because they were like wasteful or anything. And like Doge honestly hasn't saved any money. Like the administration's trying to hire back some of the people that he fired. But the firing from Doge is often tiered. And the thing is, like, a lot of, like, the notices and stuff are starting to run out in the summer. So there's going to be a lot of government employees that are out looking for a job or out of a job. That will make unemployment go up. And that will give the mandate for Fed to actually cut rates. That was probably part of the plan. And like I said, the Trump administration is hiring back a lot of those people, especially in the FAA and other departments that they actually need, that Elon fired because he felt like firing them, I guess. So, like, they're not really saving any money, but it will actually tick up unemployment. And if it ticks up unemployment, and by the way, government workers applying for jobs have increased by a lot. A lot of those workers like work in data sciences and other things, which actually aren't seeing as much demand anymore. Because there's the last 20 years, there's been an overglut of people going to those technical professions thinking that they're going to get a high paying job. And now that job, like, essentially doesn't exist, and they're going to have issues finding jobs now. So the jobs market is pretty bad. So I don't know if unemployment will tick up for July, but it will tick up soon, and that will cause cuts. Now, I'm not really sure if the Fed is pricing in 25 basis point cut for July. I think the betting markets are still thinking it's going to be September for the most part. But there is a good chance that we actually do get some kind of cut, that we do get a cut in July. Obviously, Trump is putting a lot of pressure on Powell, but Powell doesn't really care if you pressure him. Powell's not going to do stuff just because you told him to do stuff. It's just not what Powell does. He didn't do it with Biden and Warren. He's not going to do it with Trump. So the thing is, like, I do think we might have a 50-50 chance of getting a cut in July. Now, will this cut make us pump like crazy? Probably not. 25 basis points is not a lot, and I don't think Powell is going to go overboard and cut more than 25 basis points. But it should actually signal kind of a shift in Fed policy. A lot of you have been clamoring for QE. We are not getting QE, and we're not really getting a stimulus. The only time we could possibly get a stimulus is right before midterms if Trump wants to buy some votes for midterms. Politicians do this all the time. They're going to time it right. They know that a stimulus is going to put us much, much deeper into debt and will probably start some inflation again. So there has to be a political advantage of doing it. And the political advantage of doing that would actually be midterms. So QE is not happening this year. But if QT starts loosening up and we start getting some of those cuts, I do believe Bitcoin at least will get to an all-time high. The altcoins, I think they're looking for a bigger cut, and I think they're looking for that ETF incentive, which will probably kick in fall or winter of this year. So I'm really, I think like the chances that we get a big bull run, as long as CPI holds steady for alts, is actually going to be greater than what it was just a few days ago. Jerome Powell is finally starting to pivot, give in a little bit. And I think he basically said before that if we didn't have these tariffs, I mean, he did say if we didn't have tariffs, we would have actually cut interest rates already. But if CPI holds through the summer and if gas stays cheap through the summer, I think CPI could possibly hold. Then he could cut in July. If not July, he probably will cut in September. And then we're in for some good altcoin times. So that's why we actually went up today, and hopefully it can actually maintain. Don't get too excited yet saying it's all season, because it's not here yet, but it could come soon. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.